the neck and above the belt. And don't hold back on account it's me. Come on already!
Hell. Let's get out of here.
Holiday specials of TV shows tend to fall in one of two categories. They're either very heartfelt and genuine and try to display the feelings of the season, or they fall into this kind of whimsical, happy, kind of silly realm where they just try to appeal to the kid inside of us. Now, Omerta tries to do a little bit of both, but really it kind of fails on a certain level. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot to like in this episode, but there are quite a few problems with the episode as well. If you want to take it just on one level as kind of a happy, feel-good holiday story set in the Dark Millennium universe, well then it's fine. It's pretty good in that regard. But there are a few plot holes, there are a few problems with the structure of the episode overall, and on the whole, the episode just kind of falls somewhere in between. It's not a great episode, but it's not a terrible episode. But it is an episode of Millennium, which still makes it better than your average TV show.
And the mechanic I didn't know too well, but he seemed like a decent guy.
Who killed him?
Me. I shot both of them. I mean, I realize now how wrong that was. But unfortunately, that's what happened. What else you want to know?
Your friends pinned 51 murders on you.
Those guys. It's more like 27. I made a list for you. I apologize in advance about the spelling.
Has he been Mirandized?
Several times.
And you don't want a lawyer?
He would just tell me to keep my mouth shut.
Vincente Santo ordered these executions, didn't he?
I take personal responsibility for what I've done. I don't want to bring Santo or anybody into this.
What's your ruse, Eddie?
A ruse as if I said I was in church saying my prayers. I'm trying to help you out here, capiche?
So we have a mafia hitman here who is dead, that we all saw get shot 16 times, and yet here he is alive. So how is that possible? Well, he's not talking. In mafia circles, especially around southern Italy, they have a term they refer to, Omerta, which is where this episode gets its title, and it just basically means you keep your mouth shut. Someone asks you a question, you tell them to go suck a lemon, because that's what, everybody in the mafia talks like that, from Brooklyn, whatever. But the thing is that makes this episode so important is not only is he refusing to talk about his past life, he takes responsibility for the murders but won't say who put the hits on anybody, but he's also quiet about what happened. I mean, he's been dead for 10 years, living in the mountains. How is that possible that he's able to come back to life? Well, as it turns out, he found this holy grail of male fantasy, these two nubile young ladies who brought him back to life and invited him to live with them in the woods.
Do you know this man? Where's Eddie? Eddie! No, Eddie! 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 We're on a roll. Whack Eddie! Whack Eddie! Whack Eddie! Whack Eddie!
You saw that? You saw these men kill Eddie?
Now, one thing I do want to point out is that in this episode, there's a lot of small little scenes with Jordan. You know, Brittany Tiplady was a great actress. I assume she still is. I don't know if she's, you know, acting anymore or not. I'm not a creepy stalker internet type like some people, but, you know, in this show, she did a really good job, and this is one of those episodes where every scene she has works. Every time she's on screen and she's talking, it's completely believable. She doesn't sound like a child delivering lines. She sounds like the person in the scene, the way she's supposed to. And so I think she really comes across strongly in this episode. But, you know, like I said, there are a few problems with the episode otherwise. Like, for instance, these two ladies, these young girls, these fairies, angels, wood nymphs, Russian faith healing mail order brides. I don't know what they are. And the episode doesn't really tell us. We're supposed to just assume that they're some kind of spiritual force, some power, something. And to me, I know a lot of times writers will do that in a show to make you think, oh, well, gee, what could it be? And you fill in the blanks. But for me, it just kind of feels like the writer said, you guys figure it out.
Here, I'll show you. And that stuff I told you about my mom? Well, I thought you could bring her back. And I know you would have if this didn't happen. This is called nail polish. It was for my mom. I want you to have it now.
So again, I'm not here to crap all over this episode. I like a lot of this episode. I find it very enjoyable. Not as good as, say, Season 2's Midnight of the Century as a Christmas episode in Millennium, but I still feel on the whole it's a pretty good episode. And while it didn't make my top 5, and I don't know that it ever would, it's definitely one that I enjoy watching, especially during this holiday season. And, you know, there are some small things they do, like the little Christmas bell sounds instead of the big Millennium drums as we transition through the scenes, and the picture of the Christmas postcard that you see as we transition between each segment of the show. And that kind of stuff is fine, but, you know, it's just kind of silly sometimes when people take an established visual element or an established audio part of the show, and then they just kind of change it to make it Christmassy. Just seems kind of gimmicky. I don't know why people would do that kind of thing, and it's just kind of weird when you see these crazy Christmas props when they're not usually there. You know, the one part of the episode I really could have done without was the music. I mean, it's like every time something emotional happened, there's this drunk lady in the background going, "Woo!"